Hey guys, it's West here, back with another episode of I Like a Oreo. And today we've got some good stuff to talk about. Ironically enough, it has been an entire two Lucian rotations since the last video. Um, and that's when the last video came out, two Lucian rotations ago. And this Lucian rotation just came up, and this one's coming through as well. That's about the time I start grinding really, really hard on summoners, or especially so, when I start doing TOA, when I start focusing on Guild Wars to get the extra Guild War bonus at the end of the week. But anyways, I saved up a bunch of stones because, of course, Lucian is always really important on all the accounts that don't have 3 Lucians, because that's kind of like the max amount of Lucians that you're going to end up using on an account. Maybe 2 speed Lucians and a fat Lucian. Whatever all the different builds for Lucian you can have set up. So anyways, I've been grinding a lot for that, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about some monsters that I talked about building in the last episode. First things first, we have Bulwark. I told you guys I really wanted to build this guy, and I ended up building him because he's pretty freaking cool. I know I mentioned that when he gained beneficial effects, you receive these stacks of knowledge, but it's also when your opponent gains beneficial effects, which is why it's so crazy, because your opponent gains beneficial effects, and that's a knowledge for each beneficial effect gained. Unless if it's AOE, you only get the one. You only get the one per buff that's applied, regardless of how many people that buff is applied to. But if it's attack and defense buff, for example, like a Megan on the enemy team, you'd get 2 stacks of knowledge, if that makes sense. Anyways, he gets a ridiculous amount of knowledge, and it stacks up really quick. I've been using him in TOA. He's just nuts in TOA because during those stages, where you're going to have something with high HP, but it's not a boss stage necessarily, you can just melt him down. I haven't tested to see whether or not this is going to work against the female TOA boss. We will see if it works on her 2 side bosses. Not the main boss, obviously, but since you can apply dots to the side bosses, I'm assuming that you may be able to apply this as well. And I can't wait to see how that works, because the amount of HP it drains, 50% of the enemy's max HP, and then you heal for that amount. It's just ridiculous, because his healing is just insane. It's not comparable to any other unit, especially when you're using it against units with 50,000, 60,000 HP in TOA. Especially in TOA hard, this guy's going to be a monster. But I've been playing with him. He's a lot of fun. I used him a little bit in Guild Wars too, against certain teams. But you can see I gave him some pretty decent runes. He's on speed, HP. Probably one of my strongest sets of Swift in terms of just the sheer amount of stats that are received. So he's a little bit of attack. His defense is low, but his HP is nice, and his speed is pretty good. And the most important thing, his accuracy is pretty high, because I want him, even in PvP, to be able to steal those beneficial effects. So, yeah, he's awesome. I'm really glad that I built him. He's all skilled up. He only needed the 8 skill ups for his first skill, so that's really, really nice. But, yeah, that's it for him. I mean, he's a great unit, so if you have one, I would recommend him for TOA. I'd recommend him for PvP. And if you have a Mo Long, oh man, if you have a Mo Long, he could be pretty good with Mo Long too, depending on the team you're taking him into, whether or not you can get those beneficial effects on him or off the enemy. So next up we have Laika. I don't know how much I've touched on this. He's now in an attack crit damage attack build rather than attack crit damage HP. So he's just completely damage oriented for the sake of giant speed 10, making it faster. I haven't, I don't know if I've talked about it too much. He was on an attack crit damage HP build because it was a little bit better in PvP in some Guild Wars, and that HP percent rune gave him some more speed too, so he was like plus 40 speed, just like 10 speed faster than this. But for the sake of Giants, I just want him to hit as hard as possible. Now with Justice and attack buff and defense break and brand on the boss, he's hitting around 50 to 56k in Giant Speed 10, I believe. So he does huge damage, which just helps me clear the stages faster, so that's why I put him on that build instead. I was going to put Hua on an attack crit damage attack build, but I haven't found an attack percent slot 2 that can replace her speed slot 2 right now, because her speed slot 2 just is really good. Actually, no, I didn't. This guy, I lied. this account, Hua is attack, crit damage, attack. I switched over because I was trying to get more damage on her. I couldn't remember quite if I found the rune for it, because I was struggling to find something that was good enough for a while. I think I gimped somebody else for it though. Right now, Hua has really good or really high rune quality in terms of my swift damage dealer runes. Now her attack is still pretty low. It's still not as good as I would like it to be, but it's okay, and she hits all the other stat thresholds that I like. Now her crit rate could also be a little bit higher because we are attacking a lot of element neutral monsters, so 23% chance that she's not going to crit is not amazing, but we have a lot of crit damage, a lot of attack, a good enough amount of speed, and plenty of accuracy, so she's okay. Lushen hasn't changed. Lushen's been the same forever because finding rune replacements for him is just a pain right now. I haven't seen anything in Giants, and that's all I farm, so Hraesvelg hasn't changed really. Same old Hraesvelg build. What I want to get to is Manchura next. I told you guys I wanted to build up Manchura for TOA. Now his runes aren't powered up all the way, and I'm using Despair Broken. His accuracy isn't good enough right now, which is the biggest problem, but otherwise his stats are okay. He doesn't need insane stats. If I'm really worried about him in TOA hard, I'll 6-star him. But right now I'm not worried about that. He does everything he needs to do in TOA normal. And we haven't got through to TOA hard just yet on this rotation, so we'll see when we get there if that's really a problem, but I think it'll be fine at 186. So we still don't have a Beretta built up, just because it hasn't been worth it for me yet. It's not a big deal for the most part. I'm still just nuking TOA normal and then going through as far as I can in TOA hard. I don't really stress about TOA. I put most of my focus into Giants, of course, on this account. So that's it for monsters right now. So we're going to get into the Giants team. Previously we were using Megan, but we slotted in Hraesvelg, and it's just as consistent or more consistent than the Megan team, as well as having more damage. So this is it's really nice to have a team this fast. You could see my Lushen is just it seems like 100 attack away from being able to one-hit waves. It's crazy. So I need to work on my towers, of course, and trying to find rune upgrades. I do a little bit of Tartarus. I can do about 3 stages of Tartarus Labyrinth on this account, which is nice because it gives me opportunities to find some of those enchants and grindstones, which are going to be helpful for increasing Lucian's stats as well. So hopefully we can find some of those for Fatal and Blade in the future. Also always looking for rune upgrades. Now, we've been, hoping for an account with multiple Lucians for a long time. And as you guys know, every single Lucian rotation on about the 7 of the accounts that I play on, I summon for, Lucians, of course, because Lucians are very important monsters for getting the maximum potential speed in dungeon teams. There's not currently a monster that outspeeds Lucian or outdamages Lucian in terms of, they're just raw damage output to waves without needing setup. Lucian's one of those monsters that without attack buff has potential to AoE clear, a wave. So you guys can see, 52-second run there. That was with that team. But there's not really another unit in the game that just has that raw clearing power, that raw speed for Giants B10 and can, push through that fast. And actually, Lucian has viability in Dragons as well, because most of the waves leading up to the boss are actually element neutral. So crazy enough, Lucian has viability like Giants, Dragons, potentially even Necro if the rest of your multi-hitters on your team are good enough, or if you stack in the twins. So I've been working toward this team I saw a while back. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it's double Lucian, double Shina, and double Talia and Sabrina. So it's 2 Wind Jokers, 2 Water Chakrams, and the Water Boomerang, and that team can run every single dungeon, and it's like a 30-second run. Ridiculous. I saw it, and it was ridiculous for me to see a team that crazy fast, Of course, the rune quality was really high, but it involved having 2 Lucians, and so I was really excited during this Lushen rotation when on the Laika account I pulled 2 more Lushens. So we're set on Lushens on this account. I'm really, really happy that that's the case. What we're going to be doing for these Lushens, unlike our first Lushen where we Devilmined it, I'm just going to be making the Jokers. I'm going to be making 13 Fire Jokers, JoJo's. So it just means I'm going to have to grind to farm more of these Fire Werewolves and the secret dungeons for the other monsters for it. So it's not a huge deal. I don't mind doing the extra grind. It's going to save me my Devilmons because, it sucks when you have a new monster that you pull or a monster that's going to be really impactful for your game and you don't have the skill ups for it, especially when it's a unit that really needs the skill ups. So I want to save my Devilmon for something more important. Maybe not more important, but something less farmable. So I'm going to be farming the skill ups for Lushen, and as you can see if you look at his skills, 5 skill ups needed for his first skill, 4 for his second skill, 4 for his third skill. So 13 total JoJo's need to be fused. It sounds like a lot. It's not really super crazy when all the units are farmable. It just takes extra time, extra grinding. It's going to take some crystals worth of refreshing, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm really excited to have a second one. Of course, I don't have the runes for it. So my second one is going to be 6-starred long before, and max skilled long before I'm able to rune him up, probably. Because as you guys can see by this Lushen, I put my absolute best runes that I possibly could on him, while still having the stats that I wanted. I wanted to have the most amount of crit rate. I wanted to have, at very minimum, plus 40 speed, and then get as much attack and crit damage as I could possibly stack on him after that. So if I can get my other one looking like this or a little bit better, hopefully we'll be well off. When we get to that team, it's probably going to be 2 speed Lushens instead of this. This would be a fat Lushen for my account. This would be the best possible damage runes I could give without him being 200 speed. So it'll probably end up being 2 180 to 200 speed Lushens that end up being in that ideal team. But we still need to get our two Talias. We do have Sabrina here. We talked about her a little bit. She's just getting passively leveled along the way with my Lushen and the food for Lushen. So she's going to be 6-starred as well. We'll quickly go over the box. Oh, also probably important to mention, I pulled a beta. It was a light dark scroll from one of the recent events where you get a light dark scroll if you've completed all the different segments of it. So really awesome. I pulled beta, amazing PvP unit. Really annoying if you've seen her on defense. Sometimes you see her with Theomar's, Kamoon. You've seen her. I'm sure you've seen her with a bunch of different comps. But she's got the anti-crit and immunity as well as the HP. So that's a pretty cool buff. She has HP and attack bar that she'll give an ally, and she could also revive them. But of course the cooldown of the ability goes up. But it's crazy, and she's got a strip on the first skill. So she's a pretty strong unit. She's really good on defense, in my opinion. She could also be used on offense with certain teams. I think she's a sick unit, and she'll be built eventually. I'll probably just build her as I find mermaids, because it's not really important for me right now, especially since I don't have violent runes. And this is one of those units I would like on a really fast violent set, just because this is the kind of unit that can just go off and bring your team back and give you a really crazy defense. And I'm not necessarily looking for really good Guild War or Arena defenses right now. So just wanted to mention that, though. She's really crazy, and I pulled her, so I'm pretty happy that I got her. In terms of food, we have enough food for four 6-stars, so that's just sitting there because we haven't really had units that are runed up or ready to be 6-starred. Yes, I can 6-star Theomars. Yes, I have plenty of units here that are 5-star max that can take the 6-star, but I'm saving it for units that are really going to be impactful, like the Water Boomerang, for example. She's going to get the 6-star once she hits max level. And that's about it. I still have even more food, so I have enough food for really 5 6-stars here if I had more 4-star food. Of course, we have plenty of 3-star max. Rainbow Mon, you just get that from farming a bunch of giants. But that's about it. Recently, I popped a double XP booster, which is why I was able to make even more food. I do buy all the 2-stars that I see in the shop. I think I've mentioned this before. Anytime I go into the shop and see a 2-star on any of my accounts, if my storage is not currently full, I'll go and pick up the silver 2-stars. I don't buy these ones because they're worth 25,000. I buy the 10,000 to 15,000 ones, which are just the silver 2-stars, like the bat. like the surprise box. So I had an inventory full of those, or a storage full of those. So I went ahead and I leveled them up to 2-star max, evolved them with other 2 stars, which made a bunch of 3-star foods, which I fed to my Rainbow Mon to make 4 stars, and fed into the 4-star max Rainbow Mon to make more 5 stars. If you guys are just curious about how I make all this food. I also don't 6-star a lot of monsters. I try to keep my 6-starring to units that I really, really want to try out and have fun with, or units that are going to be really relevant to my progression. So that's about it for this episode. If you guys have any questions or comments, of course, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for your continued support and helping me grow this channel even more. I really appreciate all the comments and feedback that I get. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.